So in this way, we are discussing in this lecture about the different security protocols which are used at the different layers. For example, we are particularly talking about the protocol that is used to provide the security at the network layer, like IP security protocol. We discuss which fields are used in the packet to add the security given by the IP security protocol, and how that is added to the packet. For example, it mainly contains authentication header and encapsulation security protocol header, and then it also we also discuss different modes of transmitting the data from host A to host B. For example, like we discussed the tunnel mode and you can say transport mode, where we are sending the data from host to host, and then we use a transport mode when we are sending the data from host to the device. For example, like gateway here, or gateway to the host, for example. Then we use a tunnel mode, and then we discuss that when we are sending the data from host to host, we are sending the data from host residing in a network and sending the data to another host that is residing to other network. So that's why we need some security of the data, so that we can securely send the data from host A to host B on it, which are residing at different networks. So if we are sending the data to the same network, so that is optional, but we can also use there. So we can also use the IP security protocol when we are sending the data to the same network. Then we discuss about the different parameters, like is to whenever any data that is coming in the device, for example, that is entered into the network uh, uh, through the device, for example, a network device which is attaching that particular host to the you can say system. And then if we define different policies for that, as we are defining different rules for the particular packet. So in this way we are defining different policies for the packet, that which packet can be given an access to the system, or which packet cannot be given an access to the system, or what are the different policies for that. So we define that with the help of the security protocol, uh, uh, for what for which we are going to define that particular protocol. If it matches to the policy that defined, then it should be entered to access to the network. If it doesn't match to the particular policy, any policy in the packet, then it will not be allowed to enter into the system. So in this way, we have different protocols, and it contains a IP security for that, and that provide the security functions to the data which is sent it in the network layer, and it provides security to the packet, and that security is based on different policies which are defined in for the particular protocol, and these different policies are listed in a file, or in a list of files, or in a database that is called a security policy database, and which contains further information about the different fields of these policies, like for example, that is called a security association database. So in this way, we are defining different policies for different packets in the data, and the data which is coming in the network, that is inbound data which is going out of the network, which is outbound data. So we define different policies for the data which is coming into the network, and we define the different policies for the data which is going out of the network. So in this way, we have a different protocols which are involved here to define different policies for the different protocols which are used to send the data from user A to user B, or host A to host B, or network 1 to network 2, or network 3, and so on. So in this way, we are discussing about the uh, different uh, methods of providing the security at the network layer using the IP security protocol. So if you have any question up to now, then you can ask. Yes, do you have any question? Have you any question? Can you hear me? So have you any question? Yes, any question?
Yeah, sir, I just want to know that we were not here in meeting. Only, I think so, 10 to 11 students were here. So, sir, how we know that what was the topic and what were going on in this meeting? So, we were just waiting for you. It's
Yes, sir.
almost
We were
20 to
also in
30
waiting.
students are waiting.
So I have given access to all the students which are requesting me to join the meeting.
No, sir, we were waiting. We were almost 20 to 30 students were waiting. Only 10 were present here in meeting last session.
So
Yes,
I
sir.
I
Yes, sir.
have
We were on waiting, sir.
I gave an access to every student which has joined in the meet in the class.
Sir, you are not seeing the messages.
So you mean to say that I discuss again about the topic I discussed before?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
sir,
Please,
sir.
sir.
definitely.
Please, sir.
So
Yes,
I
sir. Of course,
actually
sir.
I actually discuss about as I also repeated as well that what I discussed before the before that what we are discussing in the lecture, for example. So okay, I also discussed with them that how what are the different topics we have discussed. So if you have any question, then you can also ask. Uh, so as far as the different topics we are discussing in this lecture, like uh, as I told you about this, that there are we are mainly discussing about different security protocols which are used to provide the security at the network layer. For example, at the network layer, we have different protocols working at the different layers. As I told you that each layer has is providing security using a different protocol. So in this way, we have uh, we have the security protocol which is providing the security at the security layer or at the network layer. There is IP security protocol which is providing the security using different functions like authentication, confidentiality, and the key management. So these are the main features are providing the security to the data, providing the security to the packet, for example. So how we can provide these securities? So they are the different fields are used, which are used to provide the security for that. For example, there's this figure explain that how that is used to provide the security using different layers, and which devices are using the IP security protocol. Like for example, there's a device. There are the different devices which are using this protocol, like they are the network devices. For example, there's a router, they are using the IP security protocol. There's a router over here that is also using the IP security protocol. So whenever any data is sent it through a network, for example, so how we can provide the authentication, how we can provide the encryption at that layer. So we can use the IP security protocol for that to provide the security at these layers. And then this contains different fields to provide the security for that. For example, it is many features of providing the security at the network layer. As you know that we are providing the security at the different layers, at the application layer, at the transport layer, at the network layer, because we are securing the data through whole transmission of the data from host to host, or from network to network, from process to process, or so that's why we need to provide the security at the different layers. So the advantage of using IP security protocol at the network layer, because it provides the security at the network device, whenever any data or any packet is transmitted through a device which is attached to some system, which is attached uh, to the, you can say, some device, for example. So we can do this with the help of a protocol which is called as a we can say the protocol which is having the features which are provided for the security to the data, which are providing the security for the data that is sending the information to other system. And then we further discuss about this using different fields which are used by the IP security protocol. That means it has a number of different fields which are used. Mainly, it contains authentication header and encapsulation security payload. So it provides authentication to the data, and it provides encryption to the data. So using authentication header, it provides us authentication to the data. Using encapsulation header, it provides a security to the data. So in this way, we have a different versions of the IP. As you know that IP version 4 and an IP version 6, for example, the IP this protocol is optional for the IP version 4, and it's mandatory for the IP version 6, for example. So we are using this protocol using different IP protocols, because as we are providing the security at the network layer, and the IP protocol is working at the network layer, and then we will add the security to the IP packet using different fields used by the IP security protocol. Like for example, here this figure this further explain that uh, how the IP security protocol is using different headers. So we will also discuss that how that is using. But as far as this protocol is concerned, we will discuss about we have discussed about different topics, like it contains different modes of transmission, like tunnel mode and transport mode, and it also contains some different other fields like security parameter index, our security policy database, our security association database. and some other fields as we discussed about, like authentication header and encapsulation security payload. And so in this way we have different modes of sending the data from host to host. Different There's another mode that is used to send the data from host to the device. For example, when we say that when we are sending the data from host to the device, or device to host, so we are using different modes, like transport mode to send the data from host to host, and there's a tunnel mode to send the data from host to the device, or the device to the host. So actually this contains the information about that. Using that mode, we can add the data, we can add the security to the packet, for example. And as you can see in this figure as well, there's a data that is sent it in encrypted form, and that is sent it from device to another device using a mode that is called as a host tunnel mode, or the transport mode. So it contains a header about this. So these fields are mainly related uh, to the security of the packet, or to the security of the IP packet. So it provides a security using the IP security protocol, and it contains headers like for authentication, and it contains headers like for encapsulation. So in this way, uh, we have these packets for sending, for adding the information about the IP security protocol. And this is a packet, and it contains a header about IP security, which mainly contains encapsulation security protocol and authentication header. So this field provides encryption, and this field provides authentication to the data. So as I told you that mainly when we are providing the security to the data, we are providing the encryption to the data, and we are also providing the authentication to the data. So in this way, we have some other mode as we discussed, that is a IP, that is a tunnel mode. So the tunnel mode is used to send the data from host to the device, or device to the host. So where here it could be in the same network. So that is why we can provide the security at this mode. We don't provide the security at this mode. But as far as the transport mode is concerned, so we need to provide the security at that mode, because we are sending the data from host to host, and there's another network that is involved to send the data to other hosts. So that's why we say that we say that it is actually called as sending the data to other network. So in this way, we have different parameters used for that. Like for example, security parameter index. There's a destination, you can say a host, where we define different policies for the particular parameter. That particular host need to be given an access to the packet, a particular host that need to be given an access to the data or not. So in this way, we have different protocols which are defined, different fields which are defined, and they are defining different policies for the data. They are defining different policies for the network. So we have uh, some some parameters which are used here, as we define that whenever we define different rules for the particular, you can say particular packet, like in the firewall, as we discussed. So in this way, at this packet, at this protocol, we also define different rules for the security header, or for the packet as well. And these are in the form of different policies. So we define different policies for the particular packet. Either that packet needs to be given an access to the system, or that our particular packet that not need to be uh, given an access to the system. So in this way, we define different policies for that. So we have different databases for that, which defines the lifetime for that, or you can say time limit for a particular packet, for example, and it contains also information about other fields like authentication header, encapsulation, security policies, and then different modes of the transmitting of the data like tunnel mode and transport mode. So we define these things in different other you can say fields, and then uh, we have security different databases for that, which contains a list of different you can say files for the system for the packet, for example, that which data need to be given an access or which data does not need to be given an access to the system. So in this way, we have a different list of databases which define the policies for the packet. Like for example, if any policy is defined for the particular packet, that if that particular packet matches that policy, that it needs to be allowed to enter into the system. If a packet does not match to the particular policy, then it will not be not given an access to the system. So in this way, we are defining different policies for that, and each policy is defining for the particular packet that that particular packet is given an access to the system, or that particular packet is not given an access to the system. So we have different actions which are defined. Either we can allow the packet to enter to the system, or we will not allow to enter allow the packet to enter the system. Or for example, there's an outbound data which is going out of the network, or there's an inbound data which is coming into the network. So it depends on the policy, we will define particular rule, particular action for that. That either that packet needs to be allowed, or that packet it's not need to be allowed. So we will define the action for that. So this figure further explain about this about different policies for that. For example, there's an IP packet here, and there are the different policies defined here, and these different policies is connected to different other information like security association database that contains information about the packet, that contains information about the you can say a time limit for the particular packet, about authentication header, encapsulation header, or some other information about the packet. So that is attached with the security association database. So in this way, we are defining different policies which are listed in the security policy database, and which is attached with the database that contains some other information about the packet, and then it attached with the packet which contains which provides the security to the data. So in this way, uh, we are providing the security, like as we were defining different rules for the particular packet in the firewall. So in this way, we are defining different policies for the packet, that which packet needs to be allowed or needs to be given an access to enter into the network, or which packet is not need to be given an access to the network. So in this way, we have outbound data, which is the data which is sent it out of the network, and which is there's a inbound data, which is a data which is received by the receiver. For example, it is a different structure, like in this way, like for example, there's an inbound data, means the data inside the network, and that is sent it to other system. And for example, we define different policies for that, and we define different rules for that. So in this way, whenever any data that is sent it, so that is also attached with the database, and that is also attached with the database that contains different feeds for that, and that is also attached different policies, attaching different policies for that, and these different policies are defined to defined for the particular packet, that either that particular packet can be sent it or can be sent it to other system or not, or can so that is depends on the particular policies which we have defined for that particular packet, or the particular packet which is coming in into the network, that is given an access to the system or not. So in this way, we have different architecture for the outbound packet, and we have a different architecture for the inbound packet. So if you have any question up to now, then you can also ask. Okay, so have you any question?
यस सर सर टनल मोड को दोबारा एक्सप्लेन कीजिएगा, और सर ये मतलब डेटा को सर कंप्यूटर टू कंप्यूटर तो समझ में आता सर, ये गेटवे टू गेटवे सर इसका क्या मतलब हुआ सर, और ये सर होस्ट टू गेटवे और गेटवे टू गेटवे सर इसको थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन कीजिएगा सर। सर इसकी कोई एग्जांपल दीजिए गेटवे टू गेटवे की।
Actually, there's a device, as you know that there's a data which is sent it from host to host, and that involves some network device to send the data, because the network device is the important, you can say device or important component here to send the data to other network. So the network device here, I mean that either it could be a router or either it could be a gateway, for example. So it is used to attach that particular host or particular network to other network. So when we are sending the data from particular network, then there's an involvement of the network devices which are connecting different networks. So we say that these are connected through the network devices, and whenever we send the data from a network to another network, so there's a transmission for secure transmission of the data. We need to also provide this security information, that which packet it needs to be sent it, or which packet needs to be given an access to the network. So that's why we define the particular policies for that, and particular rules for that, that this packet, for example, is using particular application, or this packet is using a particular address, for example, this packet is using particular port, for example, that should be given an access to the system, or that should be that can enter into the network, for example, or for example it can we send it to other network, so it can access to some application, for example, or it can access to some system, for example, or some services, for example. So we define the policies for that. So that's why it's important to define the policies for at the network layer as well, so that because the packets are sent it from there to the other network. So that's why we need to provide the security. We need to define the different security policies for different packets which are sent it to the host A to the host B, and which are sent it to the network device. For example, there could be a router or there could be a gateway to other gateway. So that is used to send the device or send the packet, for example, to other network. So if you want to securely send the packet or send the data to other network, then we need to define the particular policies for that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir, what's the difference between a security association database and security policy database, sir?
Actually, the Security Association database that contains information about different other fields, different fields for the packets. Like for example, what's a lifetime for the packet? What's you can say authentication header and encapsulation security header. That information is in the Security Association database, and also different other information related to the particular packet. But as far as the security policy database is concerned, so that contains a list of different policies for the particular packet. So the security association database that contains information about the packet, that what fields are in the packet and what is the time limit for that particular packet. But security policy header that defines security policy database that contains a list of different policies for each packet. For example, this particular packet has for example, there are the different policies defined that either this packet can enter into the system, or that packet cannot enter into that system. So that is based on the policies which are defined in the security policy database.
Sir, can we say IP6 is a security association database, sir?
Actually, if we say that they are the different versions of IP, like IP, IP6 and IP4. So, if we say that either IP version 4 and IP version 6, they are using the IP security protocol, or it is mandatory to use the IP security protocol, or it's optional to use the IP security protocol. So we discussed that it's mandatory for the IP version 6, but it's optional for the IP version 4. So both, if any of the version that is using the IP security protocol, that can use the list of that can use a database for the security policies, and that can use the database for the different fields for the packets which are added to the packet. So in this way, any version which is using the IP security protocol, that can use the security policy database, and as well as the security association database.
Sir, what is unbounded and outbound in traffic, sir? In a security
Uh,
association.
the data which is, for example, uh, that is send it to other system, for example, other network, for example, that is in the network, and that is going to be sent it to other system. Or for example, that is data that is outbound data uh, that is out of the network, and that is need to be accessed into the that is need to be entered into the system. So in this way, we have a we have a data, or we have a packet that is sent it to out of the network, and that is in the network, that is going from the network. So that is why we say that that is inbound network, and that is the packet that is entering into the network. So that is coming from other networks. So that is why we say that is an outbound data.
Okay, sir. Sir, what's the difference in transport mode and tunnel mode, sir?
So as we discussed that, if we say that in the tunnel mode, that is optional to provide the IP security, because it's sending the data from host to the device that could be in the same network. And when we say that there's a transport mode that provides a security from host to host, and that involves the data, the packet that is sent it from the host, and that is attached with the device, for example, and that device is sending the data to other network, and then it is received by the host. So in this way, there's a transmission of the data is required through other network. So that's why it's very important to send the data securely, and we need to secure the data. So in this way, this mode is actually called as transport mode, where we are sending the data securely to other network. So that's why we say that it's a type of a mode which is actually which is sending the data from host to host, and there's a tunnel mode which is sending the data from host to the device. So although it's in the same network, so it either we provide the security or not. But if we are sending the data to other networks, so then it is important to provide the security at this layer. So for the transport layer, it is important to provide the security to the data, or it is important to add the IP security header to the packet, so that we can provide the security to the network layer as well. Okay.
Okay, sir. So how we get this slide, sir?
So I have uploaded in the LMS, so you can get from there.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So is there any other question? So we are discussing about different fields, uh, like for example the packet, that is a uh, that is authentication header or encapsulation security policy, security payload header, which is attached to the packet. And we discussed different topics like the tunnel mode and the transport mode, and there are the different databases involved to provide or to contains a list of the different policies for the particular packet. And we also discussed that if any packet is using the IPSecurity protocol, so that contains a header like authentication header and encapsulation security payload to add the security of that particular packet, or to send the data securely from host to host, or to send the data securely from network to network. So, what are the different other fields which are mainly used by the authentication header? The authentication header provides integrity to the data. Means if any data is actually modified or tampered by an intruder or by an attacker, that can be detected with the help of authentication field, for example. So the authentication field contains information related to different protocols which are used for the data, and uh, that is mainly important to protect the system from the replay attacks, for example. uh, for example, if there's a possibility that if any packet that is received by the receiver, that is received by the intruder, so he may modify that, and then he can send the packet to other system. Or for example, he can spoof the IP address of the other system and use the IP address of other system, and then can send the data to other system using that IP address. So in this way, he can